Good morning. It's 6:15 in the morning. We are now finally headed to Jaipur. We lost some 24 hours because of the software bug that caused the car to go into neutral mode and then simply not respond to any commands. On a long journey like this, bugs like these are a problem, and I wish Tata would be able to resolve them more quickly. What do you think, Atul?
They have a wonderful diagnostic tool which runs on a laptop, which probably happens in most modern cars today. So we did find out that there is a problem, and unfortunately my expectation was that it kind of takes you to the connector where probably a problem is, but that didn't happen. So possibly what I would expect is that you have a software which can do the continuity checks or whatever you want between different connectors of the car. Typically that is what really happens in terms of one of the biggest problems is connectors getting loose, and especially when you are on kind of bad roads. So that is something which I think, because it finally how the problem got resolved was trial and error. I don't think the software played a major role, because they had a checklist which kind of took them through. Of course, I must give credit to the Tata Motors team that they did really kind of take good care of us, and they ensured that the towing truck came in good time, and there was a support cab also kind of provided. But there was a good help that the local Udaipur team got from the Jaipur team of Tata Motors. Finally, the Jaipur person did come, Amit, and I think there is something in his hand and his head which is kind of great, because it took him exactly 20 minutes to solve the problem which had taken us 4 hours previously, and we couldn't solve. So I think that's something which probably you need a much better diagnostic software, because we know that most of the problems are electrical, and those are much easier to resolve by software than mechanical problems.
It turns out that quite a few people who own Nexon EVs have the same problem. So this is definitely something that Tata needs to look at if it wants to remain one of the top selling electric car brands in the country.
Above 70 kmph, we've gone up to almost 100 kmph, so average speed will be about 75, and WH per km is about 120. Hi, and welcome to Jaipur. So we are here at Ginger Hotel in Jaipur, and so the Tata Power app shows us that there is a great fast charger over here. But when we went up and inquired on the 3rd floor, which is where the reception is, we were told that the charger still has to be commissioned. Now I guess that is something which is very disappointing, Tata Power guys. If you have a working charger, put it onto your app. And if it is not working, or if it is yet to be commissioned, don't disappoint customers by making them go all the way and kind of go and hunt elsewhere. So I think this is something which charging companies should take very seriously. They should update the status of the charger and not just keep on adding for valuation purposes.
Okay, so this thing scares me. It is cold, error, but let's try charging. Connectors. Oh, not available. CC is not available. Oh my god.
Don't know what that means, but we're trying to contact customer service, trying to find out what the issue is, and if they can remotely reboot it and we can charge, then well and good. Otherwise we're going to have to go to MG Motors showroom.
Listen to some music, because Tata Power ain't replying.
MG Motors. Yeah, there you go. That's the jugaad. So outsiders are not allowed. Atulji, what the hell is that? Laser gun. P1 is please wait, P2 is 15%, and on the mobile it's still saying fetching charging status. Alright, so we charged to full 100% fast charging at Jaipur, set out again for Gurgaon, which is some 180 kilometers away from Jaipur. It's a lovely drive because it's all flat roads. We don't have to worry about ups and downs, and 180 is quite manageable in the Tigor, so we have the AC going full blast. We also met Akash in Jaipur. So Akash is the founder of a company that makes cruise control devices for the Tata Nexon, and he's a very nice fellow, and we had a great time meeting him, and the device that he produces is amazing. Here's a quick look.
Hi friends, this is Akash, and today we are going to speak about the Next Cruise, and let me take you through the whole product and how it works. We're going to talk about everything. नहीं बस ये सेंटर बटन क्लिक कर दो, and that's it.
Which button? This button. Click the button and now it's cruise control.
हाँ.
Oh.
अभी ऑफ हो गया है.
Off हो गया, अच्छा. You click once.
अब ऑन हो गया है. हाँ.
So it's that thing says.
ब्रेक मारा तो निकल जाएगा ना?
ब्रेक मारने पे हट जाएगा, करेक्ट.
और ब्रेक छोड़ने पे ऑटोमेटिक आएगा?
हाँ, तो you need to long press it if you want to resume to the old speed. हाँ, long press it.
That's pretty cool feature.
Yeah, it will pick up to the old speed.
It remembers the old speed.
Yes.
That's a good feature.
And then you can rotate the dial to adjust, like every rotation changes by 1 km/h.
Whoa, that's a cool feature again.
So this is cruise. I've taken my foot out. I'm just kind of accelerating, decelerating with this thing only. So
how does it feel?
So the wattage per kilometer has come down, so I feel happy about that.
One quick top up at the static Beawar fast charger, and we reached Gurgaon at around 5:30 p.m. At Gurgaon, we visited the static fast charger at a busy commercial complex called the Galleria. The best part was that the security ensured electric cars had dedicated reserved parking, which was fantastic. There we met the static team. Here is a clip from that video.
You claim to be India's largest charger company. So how large is large?
Today we are 600 plus chargers, and like approximately we expect by the end of this year we be a 10,000 plus chargers.
Okay.
So like static aim is to build India's largest EV charging ecosystem. So we have our own mobile app, we have our own in-house chargers, we have dashboard services. So everything is integrated. So that is our vision.
At Gurgaon, we met a very interesting Nexon EV owner, Mr. Ashish, who is the pillar of the Nexon EV owners community. He helps diagnose issues faced by Nexon EV owners. Here is a sneak peek of my interview with him.
So that incident happened early morning actually, and it was just close to India Gate, the Nehru Place charger, the Nehru Park charger. And usually what happens, it's an open thing, and when it's early morning, it was when we came out of the car and we saw the guns, and then later on we started to realize there's a lot of noise coming from somewhere. And as we turned upside, we saw there were like about good 40 to 80 monkeys. And of course then we realized it did not took us much time to realize that the people who had charged their cars were scared of monkeys, and they did not wanted to go back and put the gun back into its place, so they left the gun on the floor itself, and this happened. Yes.
And when we were in Gurgaon, we also got to meet our wonderful friend Captain Sanjay. Captain Sanjay has been driving electric cars for more than 20 years. Captain Sanjay offered slow overnight charging at his home, which was awesome for the Tigor EV cell balancing. Next morning, we were ready to drive towards Haryana.
Once we hit Delhi, we took the ring road and got out from the Pithampura exit in order to go towards Canal. 37 to 38 degrees Celsius ambient right now, and it was about maybe 10 degrees Celsius cooler during the morning. So that does two things. One, a higher temperature increases the load on your vehicle because of your cabin air conditioning, and we must also remember that there is a separate air conditioning or chilling that's happening for the battery, which is also kept at somewhere between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius. So even that unit is probably consuming much more power right now, impacting the WH per km. So right now our WH per km is, let me tell you the current status, it's about 106. So since we were in the late 90s earlier and we are 106 now, by doing a kind of weighted average, we could say that we right now are doing about 110 watt hours per kilometer, and it was about 95, 96 in the morning. So that kind of extrapolates to a range of about 240 kilometers. And one more thing, we need to remember that these roads are relatively flat roads. you can expect a reduction in range when you go into rolling terrain like we witnessed in Udaipur. So we right now headed towards the fast charger, static fast charger at Canal. I believe there are about another 20 odd kilometers to go.
Yeah, so we are almost at the Canal charging stations. Quick top up here and then onwards to Jabli. Where someone's already charging.
Really?
Wow, that's the first time that's happened.
Wow, first time in this trip. Oh my god, out in the sun. Blue Smart. Look at that.
Shit, what now? There's only one gun, right?
It's a dual gun, so we can charge.
Yeah, it won't work.
Why? He said it won't work.
Yesterday it was not working, the dual gun.
The next one's
It's an MG, that too.
It's an
Oh, this
MG
is Subway.
Blue,
Nice.
Blue Smart. MG Blue Smart. Interesting.
It was nice to see the MG ZS EV intercity cab going to Chandigarh from Delhi. We spoke to the driver and he said that he does this kind of trip every day. Electric car cabs are a reality. That is great to see. We wanted to see how the static charger handles two cars charging simultaneously. I must say it distributed the load well between the MG and the Tigor EV. The charging location is on the busy Delhi-Chandigarh highway and the attendant here told us that more than 15 cars charge here per day. The charger is operational 24 hours. The traffic will only keep increasing and the static team told us that they will add more chargers on this route. So we're at the Canal fast charger. As you can see, there are two cars over here. There's an MG that was there when we arrived. They're at about 80%, so they're almost done. And we are here, we are at about 34%. Now we are going to try and charge and see if we'll be actually able to start charging. And you can see that connector 1 is not available. There's already someone charging there. And connector 2 is available.
Tap on that. Charge now.
So we've plugged in already. And now I'm going to put in about 20 units of electricity.
Charge now.
And start charging. Alright, so you're looking at the screen of the static charger. As you can see, we have both the cars plugged in and charging right now. There's a bit of confusion about whether we'd be able to plug in and start charging while there was another car there, especially a car like the MG, which obviously takes more amps and is a lot more fast charge capable than the Tigor is. But we were able to connect both successfully. So MG is now charging at 16 and so MG at 88%, almost 100, almost done charging, whereas we are at about 34%. It's sad that despite this being a 50 kilowatt charger, we are charging at 16 kilowatt, they're charging at 16 kilowatt. So the real usable amount of energy is probably is much less. It's probably around 30. But what would have been really interesting is if this car had probably come in at the same time as ours, or if it had been charging about 20% or something. So right now the MG ZS EV is like a glutton who has had his fill. So it doesn't want any more, it's done. Whereas we are hungry and thirsty both, but we are both still getting the same amount of energy. So if this had also been hungry and thirsty, I wonder if it would have pulled more energy towards itself and allowed it to become fat while we starve to death. Who knows, it's possible. Let's see if we get that at a future charger. That would be an interesting experiment.
So apparently people love Karnal here. So we are charging our car there. And look at this behind. Locally grown wheat farms. Kilometers of wheat farms.
You know, it says ready, on the screen.
No, that ready chore.
You have to press the button one more time. That's when.
But how much you have to press, you kind of, sometimes if you press it long, then it just kind of switches off the car.
Yeah, very good. They had a Subway, they had a barista.
Yeah.
I grabbed a sandwich and I grabbed a coffee. And I also got some chocolates to take back home to the family. But they should definitely put roofs there to protect the car from sunlight. Because the car was basically a furnace when we sat in it. And now we are waiting for the AC to cool it down. So that's one big point you need to address.
We are near the great state of Punjab and at the town of Ambala, where we will drop off Atul at Mindtree School where he will meet his friends. And I will continue my journey towards Himachal with the Tigor EV. Alright, so we've dropped Atul off at Mindtree Public School in Ambala and he's meeting his friend here and he's going to be here for the night. He's going to relax and enjoy himself. Meanwhile, we are going on our way to Jabli and that's where we are going to spend the night. We have to top up the car a bit before we do that. We have about 30 kilometers away, there's a charging station. That's the last place where we'll be topping up, and then onward to Jabli with all the ghat climbing. It's going to be an exciting journey, so stay tuned. From Canal, we could in theory go directly to the static charger at Jabli. The distance of 165 kilometers is doable, but we are worried about the 22 kilometers of Himalayan Ghats on the way. So we decided to top up at the 15 kilowatt e-fill charger at the town of Dera Basi in Punjab. Now we are just before Chandigarh at this place called Crown Resort and Restaurant, which has one of the last fast chargers before you climb the hills up to Jabli. And this is by a company called e-fill. It's a bit of an old school charging station. It's only 15 kilowatt first of all. So, and also the charging station is locked, and the person who is in charge of it is inside the resort. You have to call him, he unlocks it for you, then you plug in the car, and then you pay him the money, cash, not Google Pay or Paytm or whatever, and then you charge your car and head out. So it's interesting. It's also another model for how charging stations can work in India. You know, it's a bit more like a petrol pump where the guy does all the stuff work for you instead of you doing it yourself, and also he's keeping vigil 24/7 instead of just leaving the charger lying around. It's an app-less experience, and it's something different. And but even that doesn't mean it's not smooth. We called the guy, we plugged in. Now we're going to pay him and leave. It's going to be interesting. We're going to see how much the ghats drain the battery. We are going to lose about 25 to 30% range just because of the ghats. Let's see how it goes. Join us. All right, so the end of our long journey is finally in sight. Can you see the board in front? Simla, straight ahead. And we're on our way to Jabli, where there's a fast charger waiting for us. We have about 20 kilometers to go, and it should be fairly straightforward, except we have a couple of long winding ghats ahead of us. Looking at these mountains in front of me, I just can't wait to finally get up there and away from all the heat and dust and pollution down here. So see you guys next in Jabli. Alright, so we are on our way up the ghats. We have about 9 kilometers to go and about 15 more minutes to reach Jabli. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out is about driving an EV on the ghat is just so much fun compared to driving a petrol vehicle or a diesel vehicle or whatever, because no matter how steep the incline, an electric vehicle never stutters, never hesitates. It just keeps going and going. And of course you consume more battery, more watt hours per kilometer the steeper the incline is, but that's okay. You plan in advance and you'll be fine. Now we have enough range that we'll be able to make it easily, and there's a fast charger waiting for us there, so that means I can be carefree and I can drive at the speed that I want and not have to worry at all about changing gears, and just enjoy the winding ghat roads and just enjoy the drive.
Yeah, sure, I'll just buy.
Electric गाड़ी का charger कहाँ?
Alright, so the charger right at Savoy Greens, and the charger is right here. Okay. So right here is the static charger in Jabli. Very cool. Mountains. Maharashtra. Bombay se. Stop.
Okay, finally we are here at Jabli. I am sleep deprived, but none of that can take away the euphoria of finally reaching the hills after 4-5 days of non-stop driving. The poor car is also exhausted. As you can see, it's sucking up amps right now. Thank you again to Static for their fast charger in Jabli. Now that we're here, we are going to fast charge for a little bit, and then we're going to plug it in and slow charge for the night. So you can't see it in the video, but they've given 3 slots, one for slow chargers at the very end, and then 2 for fast chargers. So very convenient. You can bring your EV here, fast charge if you want to, stay at, there's a hotel right here, stay overnight, slow charge, and go and explore Jabli, go up to Shimla, enjoy the ghat driving just like we did. So of course our original intention was to go to Shimla, but we couldn't because the car broke down, as you know, just outside Udaipur. It's not such a big deal on a journey like this. Everything going to plan 100% is something that very rarely happens. So we're not going to be too worked up about it. This Jabli is a very nice place. There's nice cool air here. It's very clean. There's not a lot of pollution. So now that we're at the end of our journey, it's time to introspect a little bit about whether you can do a 1,000-2,000 kilometer trip in a Tigor EV and whether it's really worth doing it. So let me break it down for you. Mumbai to Ahmedabad, yes, absolutely. There's a fast charges every 150 kilometers. It's a 500 kilometer journey. You can easily do it, no problem. The chargers, charge zone chargers are there. They work well. They're in good locations. You can charge the car, also charge yourself, and eat lovely Gujarati food, and then move on to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad to Udaipur, not recommended. We had to slow charge on the way. We also had to keep the AC turned off. So you can imagine in the summer what that's like. We were not comfortable at all. Udaipur to Jaipur, again, it is possible but a bit tricky because Udaipur to Beawar is the most difficult part. You have to go slow, you have to keep the AC turned off. We left at 5 a.m. in the morning to avoid traffic and to keep the AC turned off while the weather was still cool. So these are sacrifices that you will have to make if you want to go on that journey. Beawar, but you will have a fast charger, so at least you don't have to worry about slow charging your car. And for Beawar to Jaipur, fine, not a problem. Jaipur onwards, totally fine. So we would say that yes, Mumbai and Shimla is possible with reservations. So if you're going to do it, make sure you research all the charging locations, fast charging location and slow charging locations, book all your hotels in advance. Most of all, make sure that whoever is going on the trip is fully mentally prepared to put up with all the sacrifices that you inevitably will have to make. But it is still worth it because you are doing the drive on clean energy using electrons instead of releasing kgs and kgs of emissions. So Mother Nature is going to thank you for it. And let's not forget that the trip will only become easier as the years go by because more and more fast charging stations are coming up. There are going to be more fast charging stations on the way to Shimla coming up very, very soon. So and also, of course, we are going to be giving feedback to all these charging companies and even to Tata Motors. So I'm sure you will see routes like the Ahmedabad-Udaipur routes also electrified very, very soon. Now coming to the Tigor EV itself, we drove it from New Bombay to Asansol and back, and at the time, while I liked the car, I was not very impressed with the drive quality and all that, and my opinion is more or less the same even now. It's a very good car, a very good automatic car to drive. Basically, it's doesn't give you the full true EV experience that say even the Tata Nexon would give you because of its bigger battery pack and more the more powerful motor. But nevertheless, there's no denying that this car is a workhorse. It got us here from Mumbai to Jabli with very few problems. We had that one breakdown issue, sure, but we were comfortable. The AC is good. There's more than enough power. You can do all your overtaking maneuvers and so on, no problem. And overall, this is an EV that I would call a serviceable EV, meaning that it's a good starter EV. If you're thinking of getting into EVs, definitely the Tata Tigor is what you should consider. And being able to go on long journeys is a very nice bonus. So if you go back and look at our old videos from 5 years back, we all only had E2Os at the time, and we didn't even think that there'd be cars like the Tata Tigor, the Nexon, the MG ZS EV in India. We used to see these kinds of fast charging stations in YouTube videos in Europe, in the US. We never thought they'd come here, and now they're here. Cars like the Tata MG are here, The future is now the present. So if you're thinking of going for an EV, this is the time to do it. So go for it. We heartily recommend it. So this is Abhishek from Plugin India signing off from Jabli. Thank you so much if you've been following our journey all the way from Mumbai to Jabli. If you've caught up with us somewhere in the middle, then go back and watch the previous videos, and remember to like the videos, share the videos and subscribe to Plugin India. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Look at the bright lights of Jabli. Insane.